trying to make y'all comfortable. For the record, you ain't trying to grow, then it's done for you. For the record, lab on me going all the way. For the record, ain't trying to link, no time to waste. For the record, for the record, yeah. For the
What a way to open the new season by smashing West Ham 5-0. Yes, you heard it right, 5-0, and that is responding to Liverpool's 4-1 beating over Norwich City yesterday. What a way to start. What a statement by the defending champions. One last season racking up a total of 98 points, and the season before with 100 points. An unprecedented domestic treble last season as well. West Ham was no match for us. Definitely not. West Ham United, who placed a respectable 10th last season under their new and former Manchester City boss, Manuel Pellegrini, had their work cut out for them even before they touched the field. And if you know your head-to-head history between Man City and West Ham, you would know that the last 4 times Manchester City traveled to the London Stadium, they smashed them by 4 goals or more, and it happened once again. It was like deja vu. I felt like I've been here before, and I've seen this before. Deja vu. Deja vu. Okay, so enough with all the cringy singing and all the extra stuff. I'm your boy Dominic Rich. Welcome back to my channel where I embark on another English Premier League season for the year 2019-20. In this video, I'm going to attempt to break down this West Ham versus Manchester City game as best as I can. I'm going to try to cover all the major talking points and just give you my thoughts on the game. In this game, Mike Dean was the referee along with VAR. We cannot forget about VAR. I forgot to mention VAR when I made the Liverpool versus Norwich video, but VAR wasn't heavily involved in that one. But in this game, VAR had a lot to say. It had a lot to do. And a lot of people have mixed feelings about VAR. But in the end, I think VAR is necessary in this day and age where we always tend to criticize the referee and the linesman. So now we have VAR to clear up a lot of those misunderstandings and a lot of those mistakes. City has gone unbeaten versus West Ham in the last 10 meetings dating all the way back to 2016. And the last 5 times they have traveled to the London Stadium, they have beaten West Ham by 4 goals or more. As for lineups, let's start with West Ham United, and I'm gonna attempt to do this all off the top of my head. For West Ham United, Manuel Pellegrini deployed a 4-2-3-1 formation with their new boy Sebastian Haller up top. What do I think about Sebastian Haller? I think he had a solid season for Eintracht Frankfurt last year, but all in all, I don't think he is the answer for West Ham's woes at all. They have Chicharito Hernandez, they lost Arnautovic, but Haller, I don't think Haller is an improvement to West Ham at all. Just my humble opinion, but it's left to be seen. Alongside him up top, we saw Felipe Anderson and Mikel Antonio. In the middle of the field, Manuel Lanzini coming back from injury, Declan Rice and Jack Wilshere. For their backline, they had Aaron Cresswell at left back, who had his work cut out for him today. Centre back pairings of Issa Diop and Balbuena. At right back, the speedy Ryan Fredericks. And let's not forget their very impressive goalkeeper, Lucas Fabianski, who had to fetch the ball out the back of the net 5 times. Could have been more too. Off the bench came their new signing Pablo Fornals, who is fresh off the Yellow Submarine. And the fact that they signed him from Villarreal, who struggled a lot last season, tells a lot about how West Ham does business. We also saw the great Chicharito Hernandez, the Manchester United reject. And let's not forget the great Scott Robert Snodgrass. All these substitutes were made before Manchester City even made a single one. For City, Pep deployed his usual 4-3-3 formation with Ederson in goal. Very impressive Ederson on the day. Didn't have a lot to do, but when he did, he was quite impressive. At left back, Alexander Zinchenko, who hasn't lost the Premier League game with Manchester City, spanning across the last 24 games, I think. And the Ukrainian has been quite impressive and I don't think he is the answer at left back, but I have grown to love this player despite this Ukrainian guy at my job trying to get me fired. At right back, we saw Kyle Walker, who was quite impressive on the day, bagging an assist. With the recent signing of João Cancelo, Kyle Walker knows he has to step up his game, and I was quite impressed with his start for the 2019-20 season. I hope he continues though. Let's hope it's not just a one-off game. At centre back, Aymeric Laporte came back from a niggle, and his partner was the great John Stones, who did not make any major mistakes today. Further ahead of them, we saw new boy Rodri making his Premier League debut, and he was quite impressive despite having a shaky start to his game. So it shows he knows how to stay cool and bounce back despite making a few slight mistakes. Further ahead, David Silva, the new club captain who is playing his last season as a Manchester City player. He has been there for all 4 titles, and I wish him all the best this season. I hope he caps it off with a 5th. Alongside him in the engine room was the great Kevin De Bruyne, or KDB for short. If he stays fit all season, we will win the title with 105 points. It's guaranteed. He was quite impressive on the day as well. And ahead of these two, we had Riyad Mahrez at right wing, who is coming off an African Cup of Nations title. Like, that's quite impressive. A domestic treble and an AFCON title. He is surely going to be the African Player of the Year next year. I think he should be. But he had quite an impressive game despite missing a few chances early on. He bagged 2 assists. At center forward, Pep Guardiola chose to go in with Gabriel Jesus, who is coming off a very, very stellar Copa America campaign with Brazil, where they won the damn thing. He even bagged a goal on the opening day. So good stuff by Gabriel Jesus. I hope he continues this great form throughout the season. Injury-free as well. And with Gabriel Jesus starting this game, I think Pep Guardiola is moving into the future, because Aguero was on the bench, and we know he's the premier striker, but he is getting up there in age, and Gabriel Jesus has been second in the pecking order for quite a while. And last but not least, in the 11, Raheem Sterling, the future Ballon d'Or winner, Raheem Sterling. I can't believe I'm saying that, but the man scored a hat-trick on the opening day, coming off 2 very, very impressive seasons, the 100-point season and the 98-point season. Raheem Sterling looks like he has leveled up. He has definitely leveled up. A hat-trick on opening day. He even scored the goal in the Community Shield. So that's 4 goals in 2 games this season. Man, his finishing was on point on the day. His movement was stealthy. And I hope Raheem Sterling continues to be this good throughout the season. Congratulations, man. Man of the match, Raheem Sterling. Off the bench, we saw Ilkay Gundogan, Phil Foden, and of course Sergio Aguero, who scored a penalty after the retake. Let's talk about that later though. Let us talk about that later. So the fact that Pep Guardiola did not have to use Fernandinho, he didn't have to use Mendy, he didn't have to use Bernardo Silva, João Cancelo, nor Scott Carson, it shows how deep our squad is. Like, this is ridiculous. I was expecting Bernardo Silva to play, and he didn't even get a sweat. He didn't even get a 5 minutes. So damn impressive, man. Squad depth is so important if you are to challenge for Champions League, FA Cup, League Cup, Community Shield, and the league. So very, very impressive stuff by Manchester City. In the first 20 minutes of the game, I think West Ham had a good start. They enjoyed a good bit of the possession, but didn't really make use of it. Riyad Mahrez had a few chances, which he squandered, of course, but City came into the game and they picked up their first goal in the 25th minute when Kyle Walker overlapped and produced a really nice ball that put the West Ham defense in a spot of bother, and Gabriel Jesus did the rest to open the scoring. Riyad Mahrez was also involved in that goal, so when I told you he did not start too well, but he came into the game, that's what I'm talking about. And with Kyle Walker providing the assist for that goal, I really like the look of that. It means that Walker knows there's competition in the squad and he is hungry to help out in attack. His defending has been okay. He's prone to mistakes, but he is more of a defensive right back than he is an attacking right back, because look, last season Alexander-Arnold and Robertson racked up so many assists, and I don't think Kyle Walker had 3. And I'm being generous when I say 3. So with him picking up 1 in the first game, it looks really, really good. I would love to see both João Cancelo and Kyle Walker in the same team too, because João Cancelo is capable of playing left back. VAR's first involvement in the game came when they had to do the check for the goal in the 25th minute, and then again in the 32nd minute when Zinchenko fouled the West Ham player in the box. They had to check to see if it was a penalty or not, and then Rodri received a hand to his face. Welcome to the Premier League, by the way. And they had to check to see if there was a possible red card scenario as well. But all in all, VAR was not so involved in the first half. There was a few other opportunities. Silva, he had a chance, he put over, he may have been offside. Kevin De Bruyne had a shot off, put straight to Lucas Fabianski, and it was 1-0 at halftime. Quite impressive half by Manchester City, who grew into the game. West Ham United was quite impressive in the first half, though. They enjoyed a good spell of possession, but they didn't create a lot of chances, so they didn't make it count. Early in the second half, Pellegrini chose to bring on his new boy Pablo Fornals for Mikel Antonio. I was quite surprised with that. I don't know if Antonio is struggling with an injury, but a player like Antonio could have troubled City late in the game, because he is a hard-working, very industrious type player. He has height, he has physicality, and he could run really fast. So I was kind of surprised by that move. The second goal came in the 51st minute when Kevin De Bruyne released Raheem Sterling, who did the rest to put it past Fabianski to open his account in the Premier League this season. It was 2-0 to Man City. But 2-0, you are still in the game, West Ham. You have to stay switched on. But me saying that, they almost conceded a third. It was a brilliant build-up play to that goal that was later called no goal by VAR. It was Kevin De Bruyne, Raheem Sterling, David Silva, and then to Gabriel Jesus. It was brilliant. But on the replay, VAR deemed that Raheem Sterling was offside by an armpit. And that was like, wow. If this was last year, it would have been a goal. It was a sight to see. It was a beautiful goal, but in the end, it was no goal. This would have done wonders for Gabriel Jesus's confidence though. 2 goals in the opening game, but it had to be called back. And a lot of fans don't like this. They don't like this because it creates a nice frenzy in the stadium when the team scores, but then when it calls back, it's like, oh God, we did all that for nothing. And you also have to feel for the player as well, who celebrates and then he have to get told that it wasn't a goal. The players were talking to Mike Dean, but there's nothing he can do. VAR spotted the offside. There may still be, some doubt, but guys, the armpit, if the ball touch here, it's not a handball, so it's offside. If it was his hand that was offside, it would have stood, but it was his armpit. So we just have to let that go. Shortly after that incident, Manuel Pellegrini went to his bench once again and made a double switch, bringing on Chicharito and Snodgrass for Wilshere and Felipe Anderson. The latter in Felipe Anderson had to go off because of an injury. And all 3 West Ham United subs were made before Man City even made a single one. And talking about Man City sub, their first sub was Sergio Aguero in the 68th minute for Gabriel Jesus. It was a straight swap up top. West Ham's best chance of the game came around the 73rd minute when a cross came in from the right side and it was almost put in the back of the net by Chicharito Hernandez. But the shot came off his leg, so it didn't go to Ederson with any type of power, but it still forced a good save out of the Brazilian. The rebound fell nicely to Lanzini and his headed shot was saved once again by Ederson. Ederson had to come up big there. West Ham had an opportunity to come back into the game. It would have been 2-1. And we know if West Ham had scored there, they could have easily scored another and picked up a point. This West Ham chance was, I think, only their 3rd real chance of the game. The previous one came from Sebastian Haller, who put a weak shot over his head. It was nothing really to bother Ederson. All in all, Sebastian Haller was largely isolated throughout the game, and this is not a good way to to make your Premier League debut at all. It would have been more ideal if he made it against maybe one of the newly promoted teams, but not against Manchester City. It makes you look bad. It makes you wonder, like, why did they sign this guy? But it's too early to call. It's too early. But with that West Ham opportunity, I must mention that Zinchenko got caught out again. Him against Ryan Fredericks is a mismatch there. Him against Felipe Anderson was also a mismatch. I think he held his own against Felipe Anderson, but against Ryan Fredericks, man, he couldn't keep up. So I think that's an area we need to work on. I say put João Cancelo in at left back until Benjamin Mendy gets fully fit. I'm not gonna say trust Angelino just yet, but I think Zinchenko is somewhat of a lucky charm, but still. He gets run past like if he's not even there on way too many occasions. Look at what happened in the Community Shield against Mohamed Salah. It could have been worse if Salah was more clinical. The third goal came in the 75th minute after Raheem Sterling made a clever run and he was set up nicely by Riyad Mahrez, who lofted the ball over West Ham's defense. Sterling controlled very well and he put the ball over Fabianski's head. It rolled into the back of the net. VAR had to come in again to review this one, but Sterling had made his run perfectly. Man, the way Sterling is playing right now, I'm so freaking impressed. With him picking up that brace at that time, I was saying, damn, what if Sterling scores a hat-trick today? Hat-trick was pending, actually. So it was really nice to see Riyad Mahrez having a good game, despite us not having Leroy Sané. Like, Sané who? Who Sané? Like, we are not even missing Sané right now. And not to be ungrateful, but City are just flexing their depth. No Bernardo Silva, who usually plays at right wing, but it shows that we could be rotating in those positions with Silva. We could be rotating with Mahrez. Even Foden could play in those positions. And of course, no other than Raheem Sterling or Gabriel Jesus, man. We could do whatever we like in these forward positions right about now. The team is clicking. City then went on to make their last two substitutions with Ilkay Gundogan and Phil Foden coming on for the great Kevin De Bruyne and the great David Silva, who both had stellar games. Let's just all make that clear. These players had a stellar game. The third goal came via a penalty in the 86th minute scored by the substitute Sergio Aguero, and it was a controversial one where VAR had to come into play once again. Issa Diop brought down Riyad Mahrez, and I was thinking at that point, maybe Sterling should step up and take this penalty and bag his hat-trick, but no, it was a designated penalty taker, Sergio Aguero, who stepped up. And let's just say that it was a horrible penalty taken by Sergio Aguero. I could recall his penalty against Tottenham last year in the Champions League quarterfinals. I was like, oh my God, Aguero, what are you doing? You have too much experience. You're too much of a good striker to be taking penalties like this. Too lackadaisical. And it was saved by Fabianski. But then wait. VAR had to come into play. Fabianski had stepped off his line, and also Declan Rice, who cleared the rebound, had encroached on the area. So it had to be retaken, and Sergio Aguero did not make the same mistake twice. He put it in the back of the net to open his account this season. It was 4-0 to City. I was like, woo! We are hammering West Ham. Ironically, they are called the Hammers too. But in the first minute of extra time, Raheem Sterling did bag his hat-trick to complete a fifth goal for Manchester City after Riyad Mahrez diced apart the West Ham defense, and Sterling did the rest, put it past Fabianski, who was fetching the ball out of his own net for the 6th or 7th time. Maybe 6 or maybe 5 times. Legitimately, let's only count the legitimate fetchings. So Sterling completed his hat-trick, Manchester City completed a rout, picked up a valuable 3 points. We don't want to drop points with Liverpool winning so impressively against Norwich. And we have made a statement in our very first match of the season to show everyone that we are improving on last season. Last season, we actually declined 2 points, but this season, we are on again. We are on for the three-peat. Let's say 3 in a row, and let's say Raheem Sterling for the 2020 Ballon d'Or as well. That one may be a little far-fetched though, or maybe not. Man City's next game will be next Saturday against Tottenham Hotspur. It will be a home match at the Etihad Stadium. I'm expecting to win this, but Tottenham looked quite impressive today against Aston Villa, coming back from behind. Harry Kane with a brace and Tanguy Ndombele. Let me say his name properly. He looks really good. He was a City target, but he looks good. What a wonder goal to, cap off your debut. So we play Tottenham, and I think we are going to win that game, but it will be a challenge. Tottenham is a quality team. We know that. They made it to the Champions League final last season. And for West Ham, they will play the Seagulls, Brighton, who won their opening fixture as well. And it was quite an impressive win away to Watford. A lot of people have Brighton going down this season after they sacked their longtime boss, Chris Hughton. But Brighton are showing us that, we are going to fight for this and we are going to stay up. But for this game, West Ham 0, Manchester City 5. I think West Ham took the wrong approach. They should have played a more defensive style game and not try to take the game to Manchester City. Because judging from the last 10 fixtures, you should not approach the game like this. Like, come on. Last 5 times we went to the London Stadium, you got destroyed. Use your brain and, put bodies behind the ball. Make it hard for Manchester City to move the ball around. Make it hard for them to score. But nah, you're going to play an open, expansive type of football and you got hammered. So as for stats of the game, West Ham 5 shots at goal, 3 on target. Manchester City 14 shots at goal, 9 on target. West Ham enjoyed 42% of the possession, City 58. And that's quite impressive for West Ham though. You got 42% of the possession. You didn't do anything with it at all. City, they were hardworking on the ball, off the ball, past the ball very, very well. And West Ham couldn't match that. They definitely couldn't. They were not as creative as City was. So they have to work on that side of their game. Maybe against the Crystal Palaces and the Sheffield Uniteds and the Norwiches, you might look a little better, but not against Manchester City. 402 passes for West Ham, 81% pass accuracy, not bad at all, compared to City's 445 passes with an 86% pass accuracy. West Ham committed 6 fouls, picked up 2 yellows. City 13 fouls, picked up 2 yellows as well. So that 13 fouls, it shows that we are trying to win this ball back. We want this ball. For West Ham, they had 2 offsides, 1 corner. City 4 offsides and 1 corner. That 4 offside stat I like because it shows that we are trying to get behind. And we are successfully getting behind, but, not timing it properly. So guys, that's my recap, my review, my in-depth analysis of the West Ham 0, Manchester City 5 fixture to kick off the 2019-20 Premier League season. I'm gonna attempt to do this for every single Manchester City game. I'm dedicated. I'm really, really dedicated when it comes to my team, Manchester City. Oh, you know what? I actually forgot to put on this shirt, man. I forgot to put the shirt on, so I'm gonna put it on right now. Like, how did I forget to do that? So are we gonna win the 3-peat? I think yes. I do think yes. Are we going to win the Champions League? I don't know about that. Are we going to win another domestic treble? I think we can again. But guys, this brings it to a wrap to this video. It's quite long. Thank you very much for getting to the end. If you're new around here, consider hitting the subscribe button. Give the video a big thumbs up. Slap a like on it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And until next time, from your boy Dominic Rich, I like to say thanks for watching. Peace out. Rich Squad.